Most teachers don't mind grading because feedback matters. The problem is what grading starts to replace. It replaces planning time, it replaces small group support, it replaces creative instruction, and too often it replaces evenings, weekends, and rest. So the real question is not, how do we get rid of grading? The better question is, how do we grade in a way that supports teaching instead of taking over teaching? For K-12 teachers, grading is one of the biggest recurring workload pressures. It's not just the scoring. It's reading student work, applying rubrics, writing comments, organizing the results, spotting learning gaps in that data, and deciding what to reteach next. That is a lot of instructional work packed into one task. The goal is not to lower quality, of course. The goal is to create a better rhythm, one where grading gives you useful insight without consuming all of your teaching energy. In this video, we will walk through 7 practical ways to balance grading and teaching. Some are workflow changes, some are mindset shifts, and some are places where tools like GradingPal can help reduce repetitive work while keeping the teacher in control. The first shift is to stop treating every assignment as if it needs the same level of feedback. Some assignments are quick checks for understanding. Some need simple completion or accuracy review. But some deserve deeper, personalized feedback because they connect directly to important skills. A better grading rhythm starts by asking which assignments will actually move learning forward. For low-stakes work, keep feedback brief. For major assignments, spend more time on the comments that matter most. And for routine practice, use tools and templates to avoid rewriting the same feedback again and again. The second strategy is batching. Grading becomes harder when it's scattered across the day. A few papers before class, then a few during lunch, and a few late at night. That kind of scattered workflow creates mental fatigue. Instead, group similar assignments together. Grade one class set at a time. Use the same rubric, look for repeated patterns, and review feedback in focused blocks. This is also where AI grading tools can help. Teachers can upload multiple submissions, apply a rubric, and generate a first draft of scores and feedback. The teacher still reviews and approves the final result, but the repetitive first pass becomes much faster. The third strategy is setting boundaries. Grading can expand to fill every available hour if there's no structure around it. So instead of asking, when will I finish all this, ask, when is grading allowed to happen? That might mean setting 2 focused grading blocks each week. It might mean no grading after a certain time in the evening. It might mean using shorter feedback formats for low-stakes assignments. Boundaries are not about doing less for students. They're about protecting the energy you need to teach them well. The fourth strategy is one of the most important. Use grading data to decide what to teach next. Grading should not end with a score. It should answer questions like, which skills are students struggling with? Here, if we scroll down on the analytics page, we can see a criterion breakdown. That's one way of looking at what skills students are struggling with. Here we can see that they're doing reasonably well with documents and evidence analysis, but they're struggling with putting things into context, and that obviously leads to a breakdown in complex understanding. We could also scroll up to look at the tab that says Strengths and Weaknesses and click over there. We see here a description of the skill that's missing. Often here we see an exact quote from a student work that's representative of this skill gap. And if we click in here, we see 18 of 22 students. That's the list of students that are struggling with this specific skill. We should be able to see which mistakes are repeated across the whole class. And there's a few ways to do that. On the overview page, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, we get one top misconception that's highlighted. Again, we see a sample, quote of that misconception and the students who are having that struggle. But we could also go over to the scores table, and we can see there in these columns which are the skills that our students are struggling with the most. We see the yellow and the red grouped here.
And of course, we could go back to that strengths and weaknesses and look at the class-wide weaknesses here on the right-hand side highlighted in red, with common misconceptions at the bottom. We should be able to see who needs extra support. The most basic way to do that is by scrolling to the bottom of the scores table and seeing those students who are struggling, or we can reverse the sorting of the scores table to surface those first. They need most of our attention, right? As you've also seen, we see in the strengths and weaknesses tab that anytime a weakness or a misconception is listed, we see the list of students who are struggling with that skill. But GradingPal Analytics dashboard does way more than just giving you your students' scores. It shows you what you can do with that information by generating reteaching insights and prompts for targeted activities that will help your students build exactly the skills that they need to level up. You can turn data into teaching insights by clicking on the Recommendations tab. Here you see that there are small group activities listed. We also see really clearly that both the number and the percent of the class that's affected by this need. And then when you click into this one, like run a targeted small group workshop on building complex historical analysis from categorized evidence, when we expand, we see the student group listed. We see a quick description of their need. And then we see 3 prompts ready to go for AI that will generate a small group activity, a practice worksheet, and a formative check, where you can click Create with one of your favorite LLMs. This takes the repetitive time of making activities, so you have more time to sit down with small groups and do more differentiated instruction to help your students make progress.
The 5th strategy is to automate routine feedback. Teachers often write the same kinds of comments again and again. Add evidence, show your steps, explain your reasoning, check your calculation, clarify your claim. AI can help create a strong first draft of that feedback, but the teacher should remain in control. That means reviewing the feedback, editing where needed, adding context, and deciding what students actually receive. The 6th strategy is collaboration. Teachers do not need to build every rubric, comment bank, and grading process alone. Grade level teams and departments can save time by sharing rubrics, aligning expectations, and discussing common student misconceptions. This also improves consistency. When teachers use shared criteria, students receive clearer expectations across classes. And when teams look at grading trends together, they can make better instructional decisions, not just faster grading decisions. The 7th strategy is a mindset shift. The goal is not perfect grading. The goal is useful grading. Useful grading helps students understand what to improve. Useful grading helps teachers see what to reteach. Useful grading supports learning without draining every hour of the day. Sometimes that means a short comment is enough. Sometimes a rubric score plus one next step is enough. Sometimes the best use of your time is not writing more feedback. It's using what you learned from student work to teach better tomorrow. Grading should serve instruction. It should not consume the time for instruction. So if grading has started to take over your teaching life, start with these 7 shifts. Prioritize the assignments that matter most. Batch similar work together. Set boundaries around grading time. Use analytics to guide reteaching. Automate routine feedback drafts. Collaborate with colleagues. And focus on teaching impact, not grading perfection. This is how grading becomes more manageable. And more importantly, this is how grading becomes more useful. At GradingPal, we believe grading should support teachers, not overwhelm them. GradingPal helps teachers grade across subjects, use rubrics more efficiently, generate clearer feedback, and turn grading data into teaching insights. The teacher stays in control. GradingPal simply gives teachers a faster, more consistent starting point. To see how GradingPal can support your classroom workflow, visit www.gradingpal.com and subscribe to the GradingPal channel for more practical videos on AI grading, student feedback, classroom analytics, and teacher productivity.